Hello there, and welcome to Friday. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving. Yes, here in the US, we're rapidly approaching Turkey Day and even more holidays soon after, but we still have lots of news to talk about first. This week, we're going to talk about HBO Max coming to some new platforms, a major film debuting in theaters and on streaming on the same day, price hikes for a leading live TV streaming service, and more. But first, yes, of course, if you're new to the channel, please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below. On Wednesdays, Jess hosts our live Q&A sessions, and then on Thursdays, we dive deep into specific topics, like this week's focus on new video game consoles and their streaming app support. And then on Fridays, we wrap up the week in cord cutting and streaming news here on Cord Cutting Weekly. And with all that being said, let's talk about some news. And this week's news started bright and early on Monday with news that HBO Max would be making its way to Amazon's Fire TV platform. Of course, Fire TV was one of the major streaming platforms, alongside Roku, that the HBO Max streaming service did not launch on when it debuted back in May of this year. But the two sites have apparently made peace, and the HBO Max app was made available on the platform on Tuesday. Those who were already subscribed through Amazon Prime channels should be able to log on using their Amazon credentials at no cost. And the older HBO app should have updated to the HBO Max app in the Fire TV marketplace. And if you've used the service on your Fire TV device this week, feel free to let us know what you think so far in the comment section down below. And if you're wondering why HBO Max is coming to Fire TV just in time for the holidays, well, it's possible it could have to do with this next story, although that is just conjecture at this point. In any case, we're talking about Wonder Woman 1984, the frequently delayed superhero sequel that's now scheduled to premiere in theaters on Christmas Day, December 25th. Well, HBO announced this week that the film will also appear, in the US at least, on HBO Max on the same day at no extra cost to subscribers. Of course, Wonder Woman 1984, like many films this year, had been pushed back a few times due to the ongoing pandemic, and many in the industry have been wondering when, or indeed if, the film would premiere in actual movie theaters this year at all. And then when the Christmas Day date was announced, the next question was when it would land on streaming services, since this year has truly transformed the notion of movie theater exclusivity windows. And so HBO Max subscribers will have the option of checking out the film on the same day as its theater premiere, and at no extra cost, which is a different approach than what Disney attempted with its live-action Mulan remake earlier this year on Disney+. Though I should probably remind you that as of now, HBO Max still tops out at 1080p resolution without HDR support, so those hoping to catch the movie in ultra-high def at home will still have to likely wait until it's released on physical media. For now, though, what do you think of a highly anticipated movie launching in theaters and at home on the same day? Feel free to sound off in the comments. Meanwhile, Hulu also announced this week that its live TV streaming service would see a price hike, jumping $10 per month to $64.99 per month. That price hike is expected to start next month on December 18th. And the move is perhaps not all that surprising, given that its rivals like YouTube TV and Fubo TV announced similar price hikes earlier this year. And with this $10 increase, Hulu with Live will indeed match YouTube TV's plan pricing and Fubo TV's family plan. As far as live TV streaming services go, Hulu currently leads the pack in this competitive field with around 4.1 million subscribers at the end of the third quarter. Meanwhile, YouTube TV reported just over 3 million users. And of course, it'll be interesting to see how these services continue to grow in light of their recent pricing changes, but we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the industry, as always, on cordcuttersnews.com. And in other price hike news, AT&T announced it will raise prices on several DirecTV and Uverse TV packages starting on January 17, 2021. And as typically the case with these sorts of increases, AT&T is citing increased programming costs for the pricing adjustments. And as for the actual pricing changes, here's a list of affected plans and how much their monthly rates will increase. The company has apparently started sending out notices to customers about the pending pricing increases, and you can find out more in our post link down below in the video description. And if you've been following these recent price hikes and been wondering about lower cost alternatives, our very own Jess rounded up a few options this week in a post on our site, cordcuttersnews.com. You'll find long-running options like Sling TV, as well as brand new players in the streaming field, including T-Mobile's new TVision Live service. So if pricing increases from Hulu, YouTube TV, Fubo TV, or AT&T have got you down, that post might be worth a look. And of course, you can find out more in the video description down below. And speaking of T-Mobile, the wireless carrier will be discontinuing its TVision home service. Now, that is not to be confused with the new TVision streaming service it launched last month. No, this is the older, if similarly named, TVision Home, which was itself a relaunch of Layer 3. That version of TVision launched back in April of 2019, and as of December 30th of this year, the service will no longer be offered. T-Mobile says it's offering existing customers extended free trials of its new TVision Live service. That extended trial for TVision TVision Live Zone and TVision Vibe lasts through June 30th of next year. Meanwhile, TVision Home customers can also get the new TVision Hub, the company's new streaming dongle, for free to replace each of their TVision Home set-top boxes. And if you are a TVision Home subscriber, that deal for new Hub devices is good through January 31st. Moving on, it looks like Sinclair has made a deal with Bally's, which owns the Bally's Atlantic City Hotel and Casino. Under the terms of the deal, 21 of Sinclair's regional sports networks, or RSNs, will be rebranded and renamed under the Bally Sports name. The 10-year deal is reportedly worth $85 million. And yes, in case you're curious, part of the goal here is apparently for Bally's to promote its online sports wagering platform. Also, as part of the deal, Bally's will advertise on several of Sinclair's channels beyond its RSNs, including the Tennis Channel and Stadium, as well as its free streaming service, Stir. However, the deal apparently doesn't include Sinclair-owned Yes Network or Marquee Sports Network, and major sports leagues like the NBA, NHL, and MLB will still need to approve the deal. And we've reported in the past how Sinclair could be looking into restructuring to help address some $8 billion in debt. And while an $85 million rebranding deal certainly can't cure things all on its own, it likely will help somewhat. In any case, if you've been following your favorite teams via Sinclair-owned RSNs, be on the lookout for the new branding, if it's all approved of course, sometime in 2021. In hardware news, Samsung looks to be capitalizing on the whole work-from-home, multi-use vibe with its new computer monitors. These latest displays include the company's Tizen operating system and marketplace, which means these monitors will also double as full-on smart TVs. And that's probably why the company is calling this new line the Smart Monitor. The range includes a couple of 1080p sets at 27 and 32 inches, as well as a 4K model at 32 inches. And all models support high dynamic range video via the HDR10 standard. You also get onboard speakers and an included remote control, like regular smart TVs, along with access to Tizen's app marketplace, which includes big names like Netflix, Prime Video, and more. Pricing starts at $229.99 for the 27-inch 1080p model, and it tops out at $399.99 for the 32-inch 4K option. And the 1080p model should be available this month, while you'll have to wait until December for the 4K model. And in other hardware news, Verizon has launched a second-generation Stream TV device. Now this is an Android TV-powered streaming box that usually retails for $69.99. Although the company says if you sign up for its Fios gigabit connection service, you can snag a new Stream TV for free. And as far as specs go, the new device supports up to 4K Ultra HD, as well as high dynamic range support via HDR10 and HDR10+. Beyond that, it's powered by Android TV, so you'll also get access to Netflix, YouTube, and a whole lot more apps. The new Stream TV, which replaces the original version that launched last November, also comes with a remote control that gives you access to Google Assistant for voice search and issuing commands. So if you're curious about Verizon's new hardware, you can find a link to that post in our video description down below. In classic TV news, Viacom-CBS's Pluto TV is adding a half-dozen new channels dedicated to some well-known shows. The free streaming service is offering channels dedicated to Happy Days, Wings, Family Ties, The Love Boat, The Beverly Hillbillies, and Mission Impossible. In all, Pluto TV says that amounts to over 60 seasons of classic TV to choose from, and those channels are expected to go live next week on November 24th. And in gaming news this week, we took a look at the state of streaming apps on the brand new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and Series X consoles. If you've been eyeing any of these new consoles and were curious whether or not they'd work well as streaming devices, I'd recommend checking out this week's video. We'll have a link down below, of course, in the video description, as well as up here in the corner. And finally today, yes, as we've mentioned recently, the holiday shopping season is already sorta underway, but things should really pick up next week with the arrival of the traditional Black Friday. And you've likely heard us mention this before, but we've been busily tracking all of the best pre-Black Friday and actual Black Friday deals over on CordCuttersNews.com. We've got the latest on Black Friday pricing for popular streaming devices like Amazon's Fire TV line and Roku, and you'll find links to those posts down below in the video description. And you'll also find a link to our Black Friday Deals Hub, which is a handy page where we're collecting all of our deals and related posts. And that brings us to the end of another busy week here at Cord Cutting Weekly. As always, thank you all for tuning in, and please do consider clicking those like and subscribe buttons down below, especially if you're new here. And if you are new here, welcome. And as a heads up, with the holidays next week, we won't have a Cord Cutting Weekly next Friday, but do keep an eye out for YouTube's community posts, as we'll still round up next week's top stories for you there. And lastly, for those that celebrated, I hope you all have a safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving holiday next week, and we'll see you soon. Until next time, my name is Philip Palermo. Thanks again for tuning in. Take care.